If you've been wondering how to make sure a man asks you for a second date before the first date is even over, then this video is for you because I'm going to be explaining what actually creates attraction in men so that you no longer have the experience of men just disappearing and falling off out of nowhere after a first date. Hi, my name is Amanda. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you want in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. Lately, we've been talking a lot about relationship dynamics, feminine energy, masculine energy, healthy communication skills, those types of things. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And make sure to give this video a like because it helps us get it in front of more women. There's so much confusion out here about what makes healthy relationships and what doesn't. So we're trying to get this in front of as many women as possible, and you can help us do that for free by giving this a like. And as always, I have extra resources. So for those of you who want to go deeper into the content today, there's two places that you can go because I only have so much time on a YouTube video. So place number one is the Feminine Magnetism Mastery Program, which is only $27. I'm going to be, because in this video, I'm going to be talking about something called a flow formula for communication and how to communicate with a man to create attraction. I go a lot deeper into the psychology of all of this in that Feminine Magnetism Mastery Program, which you can grab below. And of course, if you would like private coaching with me, then you can apply using the link below as well, because a lot of times I will get questions like, oh, but what about XYZ situation? And I have like zero contacts. So that would have to be a private coaching container in order for me to really help you. So let's get into what this looks like. And by the way, this is based on 15 years of coaching women in different areas of their lives and spending 6 to 7 years around a lot of high performing men and really starting to understand, okay, well, how does their psychology work or what are they looking for? And this is how we came up with all of this. So here's the thing. Most women are out here sabotaging dates and they don't even realize they're doing it. There's a lot of good girl programming. There's a lot of nice girl programming. And it doesn't mean that you're a bitch or that you're aggressive. I know there's a lot of confusion about that, but it does mean that you need to learn what high value behaviors actually look like. So a lot of women will go into behaviors that actually reduce their value when it comes to looking for a partner or dating, because they're doing it with really good intentions. They just think they're being a nice person, really, at the end of the day. So those things are over talking. I've said it a million times. Y'all talk too damn much, right? We're going to do another video on how to be mysterious without necessarily hiding anything. Sometimes women go into interrogating. So rather than it being a natural flow of conversation on a first date, it's like a list of questions. And we're going through the list of questions like it's a job interview. Or a lot of times it's just sitting there silently thinking, oh, what the hell do I say next? What is he thinking about me? Do I have this in my teeth? What do I look like in this dress? And the focus is all on you instead of having a conversation with the person in front of you. And then later on, right, you guys are behaving in this way. And then later on, you wonder why the men disappear or why they're not into you or why they're not pursuing you. So again, these are very innocent mistakes that women are making, and they don't realize that these very innocent mistakes are totally killing attraction with a man because their psychology works completely differently. And if they're a healthy man, then they don't like the over talking, not because they don't want you to speak, right, but because it gives off very nervous energy and like you don't value yourself and don't have a lot of confidence. That's why they don't like it. They don't like the interrogating. Well, no one likes being interrogated. So that one's really obvious. And if you're just there like in your own anxiety, then it's coming off to them like a red flag. So that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind here. And the reality is that most of us were never taught how to create attraction with our energy and our words. So a lot of women out here will be very performative, right? And they will try to relate to a man in the same way that they relate to other women. And they don't realize that that's not what actually creates attraction with the opposite sex. And again, totally innocent, because the ways that women bond with each other are totally different than the ways a woman bonds with a man. And what happens is a lot of women will go on dates as if they are dating a woman, right? Not literally dating a woman, but they will start behaving the way that they do with their girlfriends because, for example, the way that women bond is by communicating and expressing and talking through things and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what creates bond with a man, right? So that's one of the things to keep in mind as well, is a lot of us were just never taught these things. So The difference between the first woman who's getting ghosted and doesn't get long-term commitment versus a woman who gets second dates and commitment is the woman who gets the second dates and the commitment, number one, understands the psychology of a man, right? Number two, she's very discerning about the type of men that she entertains, but that's a conversation for another time. And number three, she knows how to guide the conversation in a way that creates a lasting impression. And when I say guide, I don't mean control, but again, understands the psychology and the nuance and what creates attraction. And you're going to learn exactly how to do that. So basically, it's my flow formula. And again, you can get this in the Feminine Magnetism Mastery program. I go really deep into the psychology of all this stuff. I will take you from first date to commitment in that one. So flow stands for feel, listen, open, and wonder. These are the four things that you need to realize. So feel is about leading with emotion, not just facts. So for example, a lot of women will go on dates and they're just relating to a man like logic to logic. And the reality is that a man falls in love with a woman when she makes him feel something. That's what it is, right? Because men naturally are not feelers, right? They're not going into their emotions that much. They have a very difficult time accessing that. But if they're with a feminine woman, suddenly they're like, oh, I feel things, right? Like that's what gets them committed. But a lot of women don't know how to communicate in a way where they are leading with emotion and they're doing it in a healthy way, not in an erratic way. And that's what you can learn in the Feminine Magnetism Mastery program, because there's going to be examples and scripts and things like that. But I'll give you one example, and there's like hundreds when we get into the programs. But a logic to logic way would be like, I work in marketing. Very brain to brain, right? The magnetic way, using the flow formula, would be like, I love marketing because it lets me be creative and then I get to share stories with people. It really lights me up. I really enjoy it. That's the difference, right? Most women are in the first camp where they're like, I work in marketing. And when you're just saying to a man, I work in marketing, and you're on a date, like he doesn't see you as something attractive. He sees you as a colleague or a friend, but he does not see you as, ooh, I like her. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. It's about learning how to communicate in a magnetic way. L is for listen, right? So it's listening for emotion, not just for information. Now, this is just a good communication skill, period, in anything in life. So if you're in sales, this works. If you're in relationships, this works. If you're in conflict, this works. But basically what you want to learn how to do is you want to learn how to mirror back feelings, not just facts, right? So for example, if he says something like, oh my gosh, work has been crazy, and he's really stressed out about work and stuff like that, which a lot of provider masculine men, you are going to be dealing with situations where they are stressed about work because they like to work and they like to provide. And it's not always easy for them, right? You can say something like, hey, you know, that sounds a lot like you care about what you do. You know, it must be exhausting trying to juggle it all. Now, of course, this is on a first date. Once you're married, it's a different story. It's a different communication, but we're talking about that first date right now. So the result is that he feels seen. And when you create emotional safety and you're connecting to another person emotionally, it creates a deeper connection. O is for open. So it's learning how to be strategic with your vulnerability. Some of y'all talk too much. You let men know too much. Before you've even vetted them, you're already telling them about your childhood trauma and all kinds of stuff. We're going to stop doing that, and we're going to learn how to be strategic with our vulnerability. And I will be doing another video specifically on this, so make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. So you want to learn how not to overshare. Just reveal one layer at a time. And for those of you who are married, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like you should have different interests and hobbies and just have these different aspects to you because it doesn't stop just because you get married. But an example of that might be like, for example, don't go on a first date and tell someone who hasn't earned the information all about your childhood trauma, right? Which a lot of people will do that. And then W is for wonder. And again, this particular one is just good communication skills, period. So if you're in sales, if you're in business, if you're talking to your neighbors, if you're meeting people, if you're making new friends, but it also works on a first date, right? Which is asking questions that spark curiosity. You want to learn how to be curious about other people. And what happens a lot of times in society in general, and this used to happen a lot when I would train people on sales. People are so wrapped up in their own bullshit that they're not even curious about the other person that they're speaking to. And one of the things that I like to do, for example, is I like to know, I mean, I'm a naturally curious person, so this helps, right? You can ask my husband. I am the one who goes to the parties and I'm the one asking questions, right? Sometimes if we're in conversations. But before I met my husband, I was the one going to parties asking questions that people would think are rude or inappropriate. Right? It was way before I met my husband because I've always been a naturally curious person. I'm interested in other people. So the goal here for a first date, and again, this applies to sales as well, which the two are quite similar, is you want to learn how to be interesting and also interested. So the W is learning how to be interested in another person. So instead of being like, do you like to travel? You could be like, if you could wake up anywhere tomorrow, where would it be? And just asking really questions about the other person and learning more about them and what they're about. And if you learn how to do questions and things like that, for those of you, once you get to a second layer of dating and you get to the second phase, and then it's a lot easier to start having conversations about values and where they see themselves living and how they look at relationships and all that kind of stuff, because you already started asking really good questions straight from the beginning. And again, in Feminine Magnetism Mastery, I go through each of those stages for dating and what they look like in each phase and how the communication is going in each phase. So the key here is you want to learn how to be magnetic first, right? So flow is the framework, right? But your energy is what seals the deal. Again, it's the same for those of you in sales. How many times have you been given a script for selling a product or a service? But if you follow the script word for word, or you're obsessed about the script, or you're stressed about the script, then it doesn't work out, right? It's because you have to understand like the roadmap of how this goes. So there are some, I call it like having bumpers, like when you're bowling and you have the bumpers. For those of you who suck at bowling, this is like the bumper, right? This is the bumper, so you know, okay, can I move over here? Can I move over there? I'm not going to go too far this way. The ball is not going to end up in another lane, that kind of stuff. But really, it's the energy that seals the deal at the end of the day. What does this magnetic energy look like? Well, number one, it's being present, right? So it's no phones, no distractions. It's learning how to be in space with the other person. I've said this story before. My husband and I went out for dinner when we first moved to this part of Mexico, and we went to like the top restaurant. We live in a small town now, so we went to like the top restaurant in town, and at the table over, we don't know if they were a couple. There's no way for us to know. They weren't acting like a couple if they were a couple, but basically it was a woman and a man, and they were each on their phone the entire effing time. And I was like, and I looked at my husband, we looked at each other, and we're like, let's not ever let that happen to us, right? So no phones, no distractions, be with him. It's learning how to be appreciative. This is like magic. With a man. So acknowledging his effort, because men thrive on recognition, and it's learning how to be playful. So laughing, teasing, flirting, and you're learning how to play again. You know what I mean? Not everything has to be like overtly sexual either when you're playing. It's just having fun. It's just enjoying life. It's finding joy in things. It's finding joy in the moment, and then you're naturally going to be playful. So when you combine the flow formula, again, those bumpers, with the feminine energy, well, then to a man that you're going on a first date with, you're totally unforgettable, because most women out here don't even know how to do this. So he's like, whoa, she stands out, and he's becoming more attracted. And not only that, there's psychological reasons why he starts becoming bonded to you, which again, I cover in the Feminine Magnetism Mastery program. And I think when you go to the order form for Feminine Magnetism Mastery, you can also add the magnetic conversation secrets to your order. And that's going to be 100+ scripts for different situations when you are having conversations with men. So in the Feminine Magnetism Mastery program, you're going to understand the psychology of all of this. You're going to go through the 3 phases of dating, and it's going to take you from commitment to it's going to take you from first date to commitment. And then when you add the scripts to your order, you're going to get first date conversation starters. You're going to get texting scripts. You're going to get scripts about what to say when it gets awkward and weird, and you need to put a boundary in place. And then you're going to get backup phrases that you can use on the spot. This stuff works, okay? I'm married, and I still go refer back to this sometimes because we forget stuff. So you can find the link below for Feminine Magnetism Mastery, and then you can add the scripts to your order. So basically, the flow formula, feel, listen, open, wonder. This particular method changes everything when you actually use it. You stand out from most of the women that are out here. So which part of the formula did you like the most? Let me know in the comments, because I love seeing how you guys use these things, or when you have an aha moment, or when I connected a dot that maybe you didn't know about before. Let me know in the comments. And if you're super done with surface level advice that literally gets you nowhere in dating and relationships, then hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, make sure to give it a like so we can get it in front of women. And please remember, you are magnetic, and please remember that you deserve a healthy relationship with a masculine man who is not going to make your life crazy at the end of the day. Please remember that you are unforgettable already as you are. It's just a matter of learning psychology and skill sets to magnetize yourself even more. You were born with this stuff. It's just remembering how to do it. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I'll catch you on the next one.